What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. We are bringing on a special guest here, someone who I have been very interested in the type of content that they produce. I think it's really funny, and I think it's definitely someone that you should go check out. It is Ryan, aka I Buy Bad Cards. How are we doing today?
What's going on, everybody? How's it going?
You know, it's going well. I like I said, I want to talk about your content because I think it's really funny, and I think it's definitely an angle that I've seen that I haven't really seen, and I think an angle that actually, well, not really angle, but I guess you kind of understand what once we get into it, people will understand what I'm talking about here. So,
right.
I think the name says it all. I buy bad cards. So, like, how did this kind of all get started for you?
So, my background is in stand-up comedy. Like, that's my main thing. I've been doing stand-up for like 5 years, just started working clubs and stuff like the last 2. I wanted, like, for a long time, I've been trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I build an audience? Like, there's a big difference between doing stand-up and just hoping that, some booker is going to like you and book you on a show, and actually having an audience of people that you can go to Chicago and fill a room full of, 100 people or something like that. So I was looking for something. I've been doing a bunch of podcasts. I've been trying a bunch of different things. I had this idea, and it kind of satisfies a lot of things at once, because it is like building an audience. Like, people seem to enjoy the content. It is fun. Like, I do enjoy making the videos and stuff like that. And then also, like, I quit drinking January 1st. So this is something that kind of fulfills the impulsive, like, I got, like, I'm up late at night, like, buying shit on eBay and stuff like that.
Right.
And it does take up a lot of my time. So it's it killed like 3 birds with the same stone. But overall, it's been fun. I mean, it's been basically, I collected cards when I was a kid, went to a lot of card shows with my dad, I grew up in Chicago. So I went to, I guess people call it Nationals, the big one in the Rosemont Convention Center. Went to that a bunch of times. Obviously, kind of once I got into high school and college, it was more interested in girls, and also didn't have any money at all. So that was part of it. Kind of stopped collecting, and then recently, the last like year or so, I've started collecting again. But yeah, it was just kind of an idea that I had, and I was like, that could be funny, and I think people would like it. And it's not really that expensive, because the cards that I'm buying, I get most of them for most of the time. The shipping is more expensive than the actual card.
Right.
And it also gives me kind of an opportunity to, not just like a lot of the channels I see just kind of like show cards. They'll just show, look at these, whatever PSA 10s that I have. This is worth this much. This is worth that much. I think it's kind of fun. Like, what I try to do is I try to go into the story of the actual player, maybe some things that I remember about them, try to give kind of almost like, it's like half about the card and half about kind of like the history of the guy, or like, NFL films type of thing. I mean, obviously my production value is not as good as that, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell a story with the cards, and, also get in some jokes and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and like I said, you can find his account. So he's on Instagram, but I personally really like your TikTok, and that's sort of where we connected at first. And that's where, I'm trying to think of the first video I saw, and I think it was like you were talking about like Nathan Peterman or something like that. And like, I thought that was hilarious because, I have a funny story that I didn't share with you off the podcast. Was actually, so when I was first getting back into sports cards, I didn't know what PWE stood for, which is just paper white envelope. And I didn't understand that you could just send cards in paper white envelopes. So someone was doing like a Instagram story sale, and Nathan Peterman was one of the cards they were selling, like a Nathan Peterman optic autograph or something like that. And so they were selling this card and I think I bought it maybe for like $1. Like you were saying, most of the time the shipping is more. So, I think I saw you talking about like a Nathan Peterman card, and that's kind of where I started following you. So the buying the bad cards, like, kind of how did that specifically start? Like, how did you choose? Like, was it more of like a comedy angle that's why you wanted to go with like buying bad cards versus, buying any other type of cards?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I buy some cards of guys that I just like. I buy some like Bulls players, or I buy, guys that I wouldn't necessarily call them bad players, but yeah, for the most part, it's sort of an easier comedy angle when you get guys that were draft busts and there's, some crazy story about like Jamarcus Russell. Everyone knows the story about where the coach gave him like basically a DVD and he said, watch this DVD, let me know what you think about it. And then, the next day he comes in, the coach goes, so did you watch the DVD? What'd you think? And he goes, oh yeah, I loved all those plays. I think I'm good to go on all of them. And then he's like, Jamarcus, that was a blank DVD. There's like there's a bunch of stories like that, but you were talking about Nathan Peterman. I got the diamond 6 out of 10, Nathan Peterman, the flawless diamond. Some of these cards are just funny. And then the PSA 10, Nathan Peterman, the autograph, the 00 autograph, just a super ugly card. I don't know why they got this graded, but yeah, like cards like that, just, I guess, I don't know, bring me more joy than anything else. It's kind of funny to show people. I don't know. I always got more of a kick out of it in a card shop when you're digging through like a couple $2 bin or something like that. And you find a guy like that and you go, oh, you remember this guy? He had a game where he threw 5 interceptions in the first half, and it, usually gets a rise out of the people that are in there.
So are you mainly sticking with like NFL players, or have you like veered off into any NBA or MLB, or is it mostly just football?
It's mostly just football. I mean, I'll do like, there's certain cards in other sports that, I mean, if people send me to them, I'm not going to throw them away. Like if there's a bad player or something in baseball, or a guy with a funny name or something like that. I'm mostly NFL, some NBA. I mean, I follow the NBA. I think it's like kind of whatever you grew up with is what you end up caring about as an adult. I was a big Bulls fan when I was a kid, not necessarily like if there was a, NBA on TNT on Thursday night, I probably wouldn't watch it unless it was the Bulls, but I kind of got a sense of who's in the league, who's good, like the storylines and stuff just from watching the Bulls. But NFL, I watch quite a bit, definitely.
And so for you specifically, I'm gonna go back to TikTok just for a couple minutes here. Mm-hmm. So, was there a specific moment that you can remember where you were like, I'm gonna make this video about like, I don't remember exactly what your first video was, but like, what was the moment where you made your first video, and like, was there something that sparked it, or was it more just kind of you had been working on a couple different things and this is just kind of one of the things that you end up continuing?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. I kind of have the attitude with just anything creative where it's like, if you have an idea and you think it could work, you should try it at least and see if it catches on. So I've tried a million different things. I've probably, the amount of podcasts I've started is probably in the dozens at this point, just with different people like, oh, we should start a podcast. And then we record a few episodes and then it just doesn't, you can kind of feel it's just not really working. And I don't know, I've tried a bunch of different things. And this was one thing where I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I bought a few cards. And then I think the first video had like 15, I mean, I could look it up right now, but I think it had like 15,000 views. It was just a Jamarcus Russell, like crappy card. And I was like, okay, I think people like the idea and it could be something that, I can continue and just kind of see where it goes. I mean, either way, it's like I said, it's helping me, it's distracting me from the booze. It's giving me something to do. And, and I do enjoy it. I like making the videos. It's kind of a challenge on TikTok because you're only allowed a minute. So basically I have to figure out, somebody who played a 10-year career, I have to condense that down into a minute and make it entertaining or funny or something. So it's kind of a fun challenge. Most of the videos I'm like right up against a minute. I usually have like a minute 10 and then I'm like, oh shit, I got to cut out, something here to make it fit.
Right.
But yeah, it's been fun. It's been definitely a good distraction and people seem to like it. So, and now we're trying some new things. I'm doing, I don't know when this is going to come out, but I'm doing a box break tonight. I'm doing like retro box breaks. I know the big companies or, the big channels will do like, I don't even know, 10 box breaks a week or something like that. They're just like churning them out. I'm doing like one a week. It'll be usually stuff that is older. So like I'm doing a box right now of like 2011 Panini threads, it cost me like $100, and that way it's kind of a little bit cheaper. And then it also goes along with the bad cards thing, where you're going to get a lot of guys out of a 2006 box or 2011 box that did not pan out at all. Like, a Roy Halou Jr. or someone like that for the Redskins is someone who's going to, I'm sure I'll get a few cards of him tonight. But, yeah, so I'm kind of trying a bunch of different things and seeing what works, what people like and what people don't. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think you recently hit 10,000 followers on TikTok too, correct?
Yeah, I'm at 11 now.
Oh,
which
wow.
is
That's awesome.
pretty wild. It was weird because I went, so like I said, I went to a bunch of card shows with my dad. My dad has a crazy card collection. Like literally from just going to card shows and buying boxes, a handful of times a year. And he never sold any of his cards. So he has everything from literally every base card, every like shitty card you could imagine. He's got in these binders in his office. And it's just like, so that was the one thing that I think really blew me up is I did a video where I went in there and was like, hey, like comment a team or comment a card or something like that. And I'll see if my dad has it. And I did like 10 or 15 videos or something based off people's comments. And then that initial video really blew up, and it's still getting views to this day. I don't know why. It's got like 500,000 views.
Wow.
And people keep sending me messages on TikTok. They keep commenting on my like recent videos, even though he lives an hour and a half away from me. They keep commenting on my videos going, hey, show us the Jaguars, show us the Titans. Does he have any Randy Moss cards or whatever? So people, I don't know. I guess that really that really resonated. I'm not really sure why that video went viral, but I think that's usually the case.
That's what I found almost 100% of the time on TikTok. Like, there'll be ebbs and flows where I find myself making more TikTok videos and less TikTok. Like I've been focused a little bit more on YouTube, so I haven't really been making as many TikTok videos, but like literally it'll be like, one of the middle viral TikToks I had went viral because I spelt Wayne Gretzky's name wrong. And like everybody in the comments was just like, that's not how you spell his name. It's like literally seconds after posting the video, I'm like, oh, I spelt it wrong. And I'm like, whatever. People probably like the last couple videos only had 1,000 views. This one probably had 1,000, had like 20,000. It's like 100 comments of just people being like, nope, that's not how you spell his name. It's like, well, that I tried. I guess that's what the people want. They want to be able to make fun of you in the comments. Like
maybe that's the key.
Just how it goes. Maybe
that's the key to TikTok is just misspelling things. And then
I have tried to be completely honest. I have tried doing it a couple times, and like it's so hit or miss. Like it's really just like depends on like what the video ends up being about. Like people. I'm not sure how much you follow soccer, but there is a player in Germany named Jadon Sancho, and then there's also another guy named Erling Haaland. They're both on the same team. And one of the first videos I made about them, I pronounced both of their names wrong. And literally it was 100 soccer people being like, you pronounce their names wrong. You pronounce their names wrong. And I'm like, I'm going to pronounce them how I think they should be pronounced. And if you don't like it, then you can just comment and let me know that I pronounced them wrong. It's like, it's such an odd place. And, like, I think for that one, that's definitely something that like for your video, at least, I think one of the reasons why it probably went viral is because like people want to be acknowledged in a way. And I think like, once you acknowledge the one person, it's like that then kind of makes other people want to then comment, and then you can show their video. So, I mean, that's probably the main reason because, there's a couple different accounts that you see on TikTok. And I'm not sure how, I know you make videos on there. I don't know how often you use it as just an app. It's one of the apps that I wish I didn't use as much as I do, but it's one of the apps I use the most. And, there's this one group of people who do this like dance where they like do this thing where they go like this. And then people will comment, be like, do it here. And then they just go and do it there. And it's like, it just has gotten crazier and crazier and crazier. And so, I mean, I guess maybe that's one of the formulas of how to do it.
I think definitely responding to people's comments with a video kind of gives them the idea of like, oh, I could be part of this. I could be acknowledged by this guy. But yeah, it's been weird. I really wasn't on TikTok before this. I just know I was on it a little bit, but I just know it's a way easier way to grow organically than YouTube right now. YouTube's kind of, it's kind of I don't want to say it's dead because obviously a lot of people, have entire businesses, small businesses on YouTube, but it's really hard to come up from no subscribers to, get your video shown to a lot of people, I think. Same thing with Instagram. It seems like I'll look at somebody's like account on TikTok and they have 800,000 followers, and then I go on their Instagram and they have like 5,000. And it's just, I think it's just harder to grow on Instagram than TikTok right now.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest things about TikTok is like you'll see the most random video have like a million views and it has like no substance or anything to it. And then you go to their account and they have like 500,000 followers and you're like, what the heck is going on here? Like, how does this even happen? I'm spending all this time making these informational videos. And then this person is just like throwing like a glass against the wall and they have like 500,000 followers. Like that's how I feel like that's how it almost works on that platform at times.
Right. Yeah. That's the internet for you.
So, it's really cool that like you're kind of growing and, I don't know, spreading your wings. I guess maybe I don't know if that's the saying, but like you're doing kind of comedy stuff on TikTok, which I think it's good, but I think it's also very hard. And I think you're doing a great job because, I think sports comedy is, Barstool's another place that does like sports related comedy. And I think you see other people and sites try to do like sports comedy. And in my opinion, it's very hard to do well because there's a ton of like easy, like low hanging fruit. But like, I feel like what you do and the kind of the content that you produce is very entertaining. And, especially in the sports card world, I feel like a lot of content, I think we're going to keep seeing this stuff like yours where it's very like niche and very, very like an original idea. And I just want to, I think it's a great piece of content or great content that you're producing. So, like what for you at least, and maybe this is backtracking a little bit. So Nathan Peterman, one of the guys that I think you do a lot of content on, is there a specific reason that you love Nathan Peterman so much?
He's just sort of, everything that I'm looking for in a player, like a guy that was given an opportunity and just completely self-destructed like multiple times. He was given multiple opportunities and just to the point where everyone knows like, all right, this guy can't play at all. Like you're talking about it, like I think it is kind of rare, especially in sports cards. It seems like most people take it very seriously. Like most of the accounts you see are like very, very serious about it. There's the one guy I think on Instagram, I forget his name. It's like Lameme or something like that.
Yeah, Lameme James. He's a really great account.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that's like that puts out some funny stuff consistently. But it seems like everyone else takes it very seriously. And I don't know. I just kind of saw it as an opportunity to. There's a guy like you're talking about people that do good sports comedy. It is kind of hard to do because I feel like, I don't know, it's hard to be like original because a lot of people, you can go on like an NFL meme page after a game and like whatever your takeaway from the game is, like somebody's already had that. They've already done a meme that was funnier than whatever you were going to think of. There's a guy he's called Urinating Tree on, on YouTube, which I believe is, I don't know what that's a reference to. I think that's a reference to like some college football thing. But he's another one that I think is kind of doing something similar to me where it's like, regardless of what your take is, just make it entertaining, make it funny and say it with a lot of confidence. And then people will get mad in the comments, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's just about having like a consistent sense of voice. And that's something you kind of learn doing stand up, like learning how to perform and learning how to, take rejection, learning how to, fight through all that stuff. So
yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I think you made a really great point that I had never really thought of until now is like that, how serious people do take sports cards and kind of like the content that they're producing. And I'll admit, I definitely fall into that conversation at times, but like, I think doing these interviews, that's one reason why I like doing the interviews is because I like talking to people like face to face. And like, if we can have a moment like this, where it's like something funny is said, or I can say something funny, or you can say something funny. I definitely enjoy those types of moments just as much as like making a piece of content on Instagram. And, it's, like I think it's an interesting take and something that I had never really thought of about everybody taking it maybe a little bit too seriously. But at the same time, I think we're still kind of we're new into sports card content, at least. Cause like when I first got started out in probably like 2018 ish, there was like me, and then there was like a few other accounts that I was following that, and TikTok wasn't even around, like none of these places.
Yeah.
Like, so, I think it's interesting to see kind of now we're seeing different types of content grow throughout the hobby, which I think is really great.
Yeah, it's weird how niche everything becomes. Like it just
Yeah.
you almost have to pick like a lane, and even with comedy where it's like most people don't want to watch your stand-up set, that you did down at the open mic at the comedy club. Like if you post that online, it's going to get 10 views and nobody really cares. So you kind of have to like pick a lane. But it's
Right.
interesting. So what I came from when I started collecting like a box of cards like this, whatever this is going to be for next week. This has like 4 autographs per box. This was like, I don't know, 150, maybe $200 when it came out or something like that. I would have to look up that particular box. When did you see the prices just start like going crazy? Cause I went to a card shop recently and it was like a box of cards with like, I think there was like 7 cards in there was like $5,000.
Yeah.
When,
Probably like middle of 2020, because I remember going to the National in 2018 and being able to buy a Series 2 2019, 2019 Series 2 Tops hobby box for like $55. And I think
Mhm.
those boxes now are like $500 or $600. I'm not 100% sure. I know they've gone up pretty significantly. I mean, that's the box that has like Tatis. It has the Eloy Jimenez, the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. short print, the Alonso rookie. So like those 4 rookies that ended up being the best set from 2019. But I think it was probably middle of 2020, because like, I think what you said about that box being like $150, that's kind of how it had been for like a while. Like
Yeah.
realistically, like I think it had been like almost a decade where, there's obviously going to be a steady increase, but not like this astronomical increase like we have seen over the past, I don't know, 6 to 9 months. It's been pretty crazy because like there's the new basketball products that are coming out that like, we're seeing a Donruss box, which 2 years ago was probably like $100. Like there's some outlets that are trying to sell it for like 1,200. So it's like I don't necessarily know if they're actually selling for 1,200 or if they're trying to sell it. So it has gotten a little bit crazy in my opinion, some of the box prices, because like for someone like me, like that was one of the ways that I kind of got back into it, was just buying packs from like Newbury Comics, like which is I'm not sure if you're familiar with that type of store. It's kind of like a Zoomies Hot Topic sort of in a way, but like a little bit less scary.
Yeah.
But they had packs of cards, and that's how I got in, because I was buying these packs. But now I think if you were to go to like a Target or a Walmart or Myers or whatever you have, they're just not even there, and it's because people are buying them. And I think hopefully there's a way that we can kind of mesh people making money from flipping retail and actually even being able to find it in the first place for people that want to get in. And it may even just be like breaking. That might just be something that I think I made a prediction that I thought that breaking was kind of going to be the future of how people kind of open packs, because it's just impossible to find them nowadays.
Yeah. And that was going to be one of my questions for you is are we ever going to find sports cards in Target or Walmart again? Like how is that? Cause that's a lot of the messages I get from people are like, where do I find sports cards? It's not even like, what should I buy or what? It's like, where can I find any cards at all? And
Yeah.
a lot of these are like little kids that are just bummed out that they can't find anything.
Right. I have seen some different things that Targets and Walmarts have done. You see the signs that say like 2 per customer, but like I mean, I went to a Walmart like probably in December, and I bought 4 packs, and the cash register, the person that was ringing me out was just like a teenager, and they were like, "Oh, I'm getting an error message that says you can only buy 2 of them," and I'm like, "Okay, I can just put the other 2 back. That's not a big deal." And she goes like, "Oh no, it's fine. I can just ring you out as 2 separate purchases." And I'm like, "Well, what the heck is the point of the sign if like the
Right.
cashiers don't even really know?" But I've also seen like, I think if boxes are put behind glass, kind of similar to like video games, that could be one. But also at this point, I think like, you're seeing like lines of people. So it's like, even if they do put them out and they're behind the glass, it's like they're all going to be gone by the time that line is ended. So it's like, I don't know exactly what has to happen. Like I've thought that Panini or Topps, like Topps does this with their Series 1 and Series 2, where they just print so much of it and they just basically continue to print it, and like it just gets like kind of put back into the store. Where Panini, they don't really have a product that's like Series 1, Series 2, Topps Update, where it's like one product, but it has 3 different releases throughout the year. Like for them, like Prism, Optic, they're all individual single products. So like they would print it, they put it in the store. Once it's gone, like then they're moving on to the next product. So I guess, I hope that they can figure out a way to get these cards back in the store, but I'm not sure. It may just be even something where that's just a thing of the past. Like, because there's been times where things have changed. Like, we back in the day, like and before I was even in it, there was no eBay. So like people were just kind of trusting other people that they knew the prices of their cards, or they would use like the Beckett,
Mm-hmm.
like magazine. So it's like, and that's not how it goes anymore. So maybe it's just like, you won't be able to find them. I hope that they can figure out a way to get it in, but at the same time, it's like, who really knows?
I think it's gotta slow down at a certain point. Like there has to be kind of an end to all this. And I think it'll be, my prediction is that a lot of people are going to have a lot of cards and a lot of stuff that they're sitting on or that they're investing in or whatever. And I think it's going to be the flippers are going to make their money. And it's the people that are buying stuff as like an investment that are, probably going to get screwed if they're spending. If you're buying if you're holding onto a card because you think it'll be worth more one day, you might be right. But if you're going out and spending, I don't know, $1,000 on one Luka Doncic, PSA, whatever, I think I'm not sure that those are going to be worth what, the stock or whatever the chart is. I'm not sure that that's going to keep going up,
Yeah. And
it'll be weird.
I think you also look at it and like in like 87, like 1987 Topps, you could, back in the day, I've asked around and people said you probably could buy a hobby box for like $40 to $50, 50, 60, depending on kind of where you're buying it. It's like, that's kind of one of the main differences now is like back then. And I think people always talk about like the crash and people investing, and they're worried about, because back in the day, people just had like pallets and cases of this 1970, 1980 Topps or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I think you look at it now and it's like, it's just not that. It's not the same. You can't just buy a hobby box of Topps for, like you can't just buy a hobby box for $50. It's like now all these hobby boxes are in the $100, $150 range. And it's like, now there's autographs and there's memorabilia cards, and it's so different that I think there are things that I get nervous about with that crash kind of people talking about it all the time. But then there's also, I look at it and I say the market is completely different. So it's kind of it's a give and take thing there with me, like where I guess I'm worried about it, but at the same time, I'm like, I know that things are so much different.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that too. I don't think it's going to completely fall off a cliff, but I do think that like it's going to end. There's going to be certain people that are like, yeah, I collected cards for a little bit. I think the interest is going to wane a little bit over time. Mm-hmm. And then we'll see it kind of go back to maybe where it should be, like a correction more so than a crash, hopefully. But it doesn't really affect me either way, because the price of Nathan Peterman's is going to stay pretty level, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Unless what I'm doing takes off, and then a bunch of people.
Unless he becomes like an owner or something like that, like something crazy. Yeah. So I've got I got like 2 other questions for you. So,
okay.
For you, when you're buying cards, are you buying mainly singles, or like, cause I know you talked about doing the case break or the break of the box. Like, are you buying older boxes, trying to pull some of these like odd cards, or are you mainly like looking for odd cards? And actually kind of a secondary point is like, how do you find these odd cards? Like, is it just something that you're looking for on eBay?
eBay, ComC, and yeah, it's mostly singles. A lot of times people send me stuff to my PO box. I get some pretty crazy stuff in there. I got like a Tim Couch autograph just for nothing. I didn't even trade the guy anything. He just sent it to me. Same thing with Blake Bortles. I got a Blake Bortles like rookie auto. So a lot of the stuff is stuff that people send me. I will like go and find stuff that I find like particularly funny. Like, I had a John David Booty, like PSA 9, just a guy that no one's heard of that I got for like $7. I got a Johnny Manziel, rookie 10-10. from, I think this is from Beckett, which I don't know how much the difference is between Beckett and PSA. I didn't really care either way. It was just a cool card. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking for anything low numbered, signed, usually, you know, any sort of like patch or autograph card. And then with the box breaks, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll find a year. So like Johnny Manziel, I'm trying to remember. I think he was a rookie in 2014. I haven't done this yet, but I'll try to find a box where I'm like, I could potentially pull a Johnny Manziel from this. And if I do, because people are coming to my, or most of the people, I'm assuming some people are just people that found my listing on eBay, but most of the people that are coming to my listings are from, you know, my TikTok. So if I do pull a Johnny Manziel, you know, crazy card, like a 1 of 1, then I might be able to, you know, talk to that person and be like, hey, can I refund your money, or, you know, buy this card off you, or, you know, I'll send you the rest of the cards, but can I buy this one? So I'm kind of trying to find cards that fit what I'm trying to do, you know, through the box breaks. But it, you know, then again, I mean, if somebody really wanted that card, you know, I can't withhold it, you know.
Right.
As much as I might want to. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking for kind of just high end garbage is the best way to put it, you know. I love, like, I just bought a box of what's it called? It's like 2013. Sorry, let me look it up really quick. Oh, it's the Origins, you know, that product where it's like
Yes.
1 pack, 7 cards each, all very, like, you know, low numbered stuff. I bought like a 2013 Origins. The 2013 is known, or is considered by many to be one of like the worst drafts in modern NFL history.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what I can get out of there. But,
Totally. Yeah, I mean, those are, it's those boxes are, I'm sure they have some hilariously bad players in there, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely, especially from that draft. I forget, I don't remember exactly. I think that was, I don't know, I'd have to look it up. 2013. It was like, I think it was Blaine Gabbert year.
Probably.
2013 NFL draft. It was, I think it was also the Jake, let me see. Eric Fisher was first overall. Yeah, this is bad. Most notable player I see in the top 10 is Tavon Austin. It was a bunch of like linemen that went first. I remember this draft, but it was a bunch of offensive and defensive linemen. This was the EJ Manuel draft.
Yes.
Yeah, Xavier Rhodes. DeAndre Hopkins is really the only player that, you know, people would really go for. But so just one more question that I had for you. Is there a guy right now that you see, because you pay a more attention to what guys are going up, what guys are worth than I do. Is there a guy right now that you see as overvalued that you think is going to be in my neck of the woods in a couple of years? A guy that's really just going to be completely worthless that people are investing in right now?
That is a great question. And, you know, as a Patriots fan, I think there is a chance that it could be Sam Darnold. I think that, you know, I think they have to figure something else out. So it clearly hasn't, whatever he's been doing hasn't worked. So they need to figure something else out, or else it's just going to turn into like a mess there. I would also say, let's see. I mean, that's kind of a hard question, I guess. I haven't really, I think Sam Darnold could be somebody, but at the same time, like if he makes some sort of major change, like if he gets traded, then I would say probably not. But I think, you know, in football and then maybe in basketball, let's see if there's anybody. I mean, I can't think of anybody that anyone loves that I think is bad. I guess maybe Ben Simmons, but like, I don't think he'll ever get to a point where it's like he's terrible. Like, I think he is at a point in his career where it's either going to become him being a top 10 player in the league, or he's going to be like a bottom, like, or he'll be like a top 50 player. Like, he's going to be either really, like, I think he's good, but I just think that it's just kind of the same thing. If they can't figure something else out there, and again, that may be my New England Boston bias there, saying two of our arch rivals are one of their best players is going to be bad. But I think those two players honestly could be players that I think a lot of people are pretty heavily invested in that could end up being not good in the future.
I thought you were going to saying you're a New England Patriots fan. I thought you were going to say N'Keal Harry.
Oh my God, N'Keal Harry. I mean, the Patriots, this is maybe some insider info here, but the Patriots have never been able to draft a wide receiver. And the fact that Joe Judge, the wide receiver coach, went and is now the coach of the Giants is the most insane thing, because the year before, the Patriots wide receivers were horrifically bad. So I don't know what it had to have been, something Bill Belichick, because he was obviously a coach for the Giants, like a defensive coordinator there. But for the Patriots wide receivers in 2019 were horrific. And then somehow the wide receivers coach then becomes, he was the wide receiver and the special teams coach, those were the two worst squads on the Patriots in that season. And then he goes on to become the head coach. I don't have any idea how that could happen, but N'Keal Harry, there have been a list of wide receivers that have been drafted high by the Patriots. Chad Jackson, I don't know if you know who that is, another guy that was drafted high. I mean, there's been a ton of different wide receivers that just literally haven't panned out that should have been. N'Keal Harry is definitely somebody that I could see that happening too. I guess maybe Stidham could be another guy that people were pretty high on that ended up turning out to be going down to Dallas in the middle of a pandemic and then just getting benched and then bringing Cam Newton in and ruining the whole season. I guess maybe Stidham could be another player like that. But is there anybody that you have your eyes on? I think that's maybe an interesting question there.
I don't know. I'm kind of just laying in wait, there's always going to be guys that for whatever reason don't work out. I tried to break it down into categories for my binders. I wanted to have guys who sucked because they got injured, guys who sucked because they just were terrible, guys that I don't know if they really sucked or maybe just the hype was too high coming in and they just weren't that good of a player. But yeah, I mean, any quarterback pretty much that gets drafted, I don't really trust any of the, everyone's saying Trevor Lawrence is the next whatever, every single year they say that. And then what ends up happening? Usually one or two out of the 6 guys that get drafted for quarterback are, worth anything. And the rest of them are, the rest of them end up being Bryce Petty, who I have a card of right here. But it's is it really Bryce Petty's fault that he was thrown into, duty in New York and, before he was ready behind a, not great offensive line with no good weapons and, on a bad team? Is it really his fault? And I think that happens with so many of these quarterbacks that get drafted. They just get thrown immediately into a terrible situation, don't have any time to sit on the bench because whoever they have as a starter is usually Mike Glennon or somebody like that.
Right.
And then, they just get killed. It's kind of the David Carr thing where it's it was David Carr a bad quarterback, or did he just get the shit kicked out of him for 3 years and that, made him a bad quarterback? So I think quarterbacks are always a good bet because there's always cards made for them and there's always a lot of hype behind them. And pretty rarely do they actually work out,
a guy that I actually really liked that I don't know exactly I have no idea what's going to happen to this guy because I don't know if he's good or not good. And guy that you might appreciate is Gardner Minshew because of the stash. That was a guy that I watched at Washington State. And, I gamble on sports sometimes. And that dude just covered every single game for Washington State the year before he got drafted. And then he goes to the Jaguars, and then they sign Nick Foles, and then they trade Nick Foles, and now they have the number 1 pick again, and they're going to pick Trevor Lawrence. So it's like a guy. I think that's another perfect example, like you were saying. Is he not good, or is it that is it just he's I don't really even want to play for Jacksonville, so what's the point? And it's so funny because they Jacksonville this year, they won the first game of the year. And then after that, they literally just lost the rest of the season. So I think, Minshew is a guy that, if he goes somewhere that I think is good, then maybe he'll have a chance. But he may be a guy that kind of flutters off into nothingness, kind of like what happened in the Avengers.
Yeah, honestly. It's a lot of those guys, I mean, so much of it is about what the team around you is, you know. I mean, Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls and like his numbers are god awful. I think he threw like 8 touchdowns and like 25 interceptions his first year as a rookie in the league. So it's like, yeah, and you always see it with like, or you saw it recently with Lamar Jackson on Baltimore. He was drafted to a good team late in the first round and then ended up, you know, I mean, if Lamar Jackson was on the Jets or if he was on the Jaguars, he'd probably be hurt, honestly.
Right.
It'd probably be like a Joe Burrow situation where he would just get the shit kicked out of him and then he's, you know, and then it's, or Robert Griffin III, who had a couple great seasons, got hurt. I don't know if that's because more of the Washington's fault or it's more their field turf's fault that he got hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so much of it is just up in the air. It's all circumstantial. Who's surrounding you? Do you have good weapons? Does your coach know what the hell he's doing? A lot of these coaches just, you know, I don't know. It's like it's like the Bears this year where Nick Foles was like, yeah, sometimes they call plays that we don't have enough time to actually like complete the play. Like we're doing 7-step drops when we have no offensive line at all. And just, you know, so.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think you made another good point was that quarterbacks, they always make the quarterback cards.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, if there's a guy that ends up being a bust, there's a decent chance that he has like 5 or 6 different cards. You know, Nathan Peterman, perfect example. He has like, I don't know if he has a prism card, but I know he has that optic card. But
he's
like
got a million cards because that was
exactly.
That was the year he was.
That was 2017, I think. That was the same as Mahomes.
So everyone bought up those, you know, those boxes and those high end boxes, hoping to get a Mahomes, and a lot of them got, you know, Nathan Peterman's.
Right. Yeah. So I got one last question for you. And I think this is definitely going to be much different. The answer will be much different than most of the guests that I have on the podcast. So I make sure to ask I ask this question to all the guests. What is your dream card?
Right now there's a couple. I don't know. Can I share my screen? Let's see. Let me pull it up and then I'll show it to you. Right now, this is the one that I'm going for on, let's see here. It's a Larry Bird. Let me find it in my watched or in my cards that I'm watching here. Sorry, you can edit this part out if you want.
Yeah, actually, let me just ask the question again because my like phone decided to come up with the 20% thing, so it kicked me out of the interview for a second. So
I did see that.
Let me know when you have it up, and then I'll ask the question again.
Okay. Here it is. Get rid of all this. All right. So you can go ahead.
Okay. So, and I have one last question that I usually ask all of my guests, and I'm sure yours is going to be extremely interesting considering the types of cards that you're into. What is your dream card?
All right. So I pulled it up here. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know. Oh, no, it says it's disabled. But basically it's this one I have right here. It's a 2006 double auto Larry Bird and Adam Morrison. I found it. It's this one's a PSA 8. It's going for like $200 right now. So it's a Larry Bird auto, which is worth, you know, probably $90 just on its own. I don't think it's numbered at all. And then you have the Adam Morrison, because this is something they do every single time there's like a good white player. They always compare. They always do I literally just bought a Doug McDermott, you know, the Sports Illustrated front cover with him and the 2 cheerleaders. They do that every single time there's a good like white player. And, you know, very rarely does, you know, no one is Larry Bird. So they put him on the same card here. And on the back, it says, was it the mustache, one of college hoops most famous, that earned Morrison the Larry Bird comparisons? Which I think is funny that they're like, oh, it's the must. That's why we're comparing.
Yeah. No, that's gotta be it.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with their skin color.
Right.
But that's a funny one where it's like, you know, I found one, a guy was willing to sell it to me for $100. I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of trying to, cut down on my spending a little bit, but I thought this one was funny. This is basically a rookie auto for Adam Morrison. And then with the Larry Bird, I love cards like that where I have a couple and I'm always looking for more. They keep doing it with John Elway. Every one of his big, tall, lanky, terrible quarterbacks that he drafts, they'll put him on the same card right next to him. I have a double jersey with him and Paxton Lynch. It's like, and it's a 1 out of 5 or something like that. Every single time they draft somebody, they put him on the same card right next to John Elway. Like, oh, this is going to be this is going to be worth something someday when this guy pans out, and it never does. So I always like that. I like cards where they compare a guy to somebody else who's like a Hall of Famer, or any card where they have like, future legend or something written on the card to, be like, this guy's going to be great one day, and it doesn't pan out. Those are always funny. And they do that a lot.
Card, that Morrison card is him on the Bobcats too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's hilarious as well.
Just with his ugly mop of hair. Yeah.
Oh, and those ugly orange jerseys that the Bobcats were too, for sure.
Yeah. I found a couple of those. So that's kind of the one I'm going for right now. There's a couple other ones too that I found, but that one's the main one. Those are. And then,
definitely did not disappoint with the Larry Bird, Adam Morrison dual card there for sure.
There's also some Nathan Peterman 1 out of 1s that I've had my eye on, where the guy's selling them for $400 on eBay, which is just ridiculous. I found one on ComC where I think he was like willing to go down to like 170 or something. So that might be something where I just have that as a goal on my Twitch stream, which by the way, I'll be streaming tonight. I'll be doing the box break. And I'll be doing that live on TikTok and on Twitch. But that could be one thing where I have the little goal at the top that says, if you donate X amount, let's try to get it up to $150 so I can afford that, Larry Bird card or whatever. But that's, like I said, those are Adam Morrison. Wow. Well, that's such a throwback. I just remember him. I wish he could have panned out, because I wish he could have outlived that moment of him crying during the NCAA tournament and actually been like a good player. And like, it's just an unfortunate time at times was when players, their moment that they had in their whole entire career that everyone remembers them by is something like that. So yeah, I'm going to wrap things up here. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Let the audience know where they can find you. So you can find me at ibuybadcards on pretty much everything. I have the main things that I am active on are TikTok and Instagram. I use Instagram more just as kind of a dumping ground for my TikToks, but I will post some stuff there every once in a while. And that's a good way to get in contact with me if you're trying to trade or sell me something. Again, I'm not buying everything right now. I'm trying to buy a house in the next couple of years. I'm not trying to spend, $5,000 a month on Nathan Peterman's, but, that's a good way to get in contact with me, because the DM system on TikTok is very kind of broken.
I agree. I actually totally agree with that.
Yeah. I tried to do a Trade Tuesday thing where I would, post 5 different cards and then like comment and let me know what you want to trade for them. And then I'll pick a winner like a day later. And I think 4 out of the 5 people I reached out to just didn't have their DM set up, or it's just, there was something weird about it. But, so yeah, I have a YouTube too, which I haven't posted on. I do Twitch streams every Sunday at 7 PM. It's kind of about it right now. I'm looking to add some more things, and we'll keep doing these box breaks and stuff. But that's about it. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yep, I'll talk to you soon.
Let's hope the card market doesn't crash.
yeah, let's hope.
All right.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks again. Yep. Bye.